All right. This looks good. Just testing it. This looks good. Okay. Now, in about 2 minutes, we're going to start episode 3 of season 3, Inclusive Talk, identifying different types of depression. We're going to have Dr. Stacey on and another special guest, and I'll introduce him later. So, see you in 2 minutes. And all right, you heard the lady. So we're back with Inclusive Talk Podcast. This is episode 3 of season 3, and we are. I'm just elephant related, peacock, proud, and hyena happy to be with y'all on today. I'm just amazed at the responses that we're getting for this series, and everybody that's been listening and watching via YouTube and on Zoom and listening on Anchor or Spotify and all the other platforms. So we have with us returning guest co-host, Miss Stacey Pearson, Dr. Stacey. You better recognize and put that DR dot on that thing, From Being the Dot podcast. And we have our special guest on today, Mr. Calvin Chambers from he's the host of the Innovative Dream podcast. Okay, the Innovative Dream podcast. And for just a little bit, can you just tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Wait, you forgot to introduce me.
I'm sorry. You're right. Who can forget my lovely co-host? I'm just playing. I'm playing. No, but y'all know my co-host. This is my lovely cousin, my amazing co-host and business partner, Miss Fallon Habersham.
Yo.
That's it. All right. Now, back to Mr. Calvin. Can you give the people a little bit of who you are?
Okay. My name is Calvin Chambers. I'm the host of the Innovative Dream podcast. The podcast centers around entrepreneurship, motivation, and real estate. So the reason why I started the podcast was mainly to uplift people, give people the sense of, you can work 9 to 5 plus start and turn your hobby profitable. So I kind of give words of encouragement for all different areas of, any different type of industry. And that's here for you guys to view. So you check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Music, Anchor, everywhere you find your podcast.
Yes. Now, Fallon, cousin.
Yes.
This is our second installment of identifying different types of depression. And we had Dr. Stacey on last week. We're going to have her on for the duration of the series, and our special guest, Brother Calvin. So, can you give the people that didn't watch and didn't listen with us, can you give them the reason why you wanted to do this series for you?
I initially wanted to do the series, mostly because at the time I was going through a really deep depression myself over something that now that I'm out of it and your girl's doing good now, I'm like, that was dumb. That was really petty. But I was in it, and it was like, it had me down for like almost a week. And I figure if we do a series centered around depression and maintaining your mental health and things of that nature, I thought if all else fails, at least I get some help without paying for it, because I'm kind of cheap, but still. So, Calvin, you were one of the people that responded to the post that we made.
Yes.
What made you respond?
Well, one, I am looking to get myself out there in terms of doing more speaking engagements. Due to COVID, I found myself losing a lot of speaking engagements because, of course, nobody's going out.
Can't nobody go no doggone well.
Talk and stuff like that. And I kind of also wanted to go and add an additional focus on my podcast to start motivating, uplifting people. I found that a lot of people that I've known who were originally starting business ventures or, doing, creative stuff have fell in a rut when COVID happened, either because they may have gotten COVID or because, they're not in their normal social environment where they're not as happy or outgoing as they used to be. So they're kind of, it's not depression, it's leading to depression. It's more like a feeling of hopelessness, like things will never get back to the same as they were before. So I kind of want to add some type of motivation aspect, learn more, get more exposure into the area. And that's why I kind of, send around talking to more different types of people, maybe people who may not have entrepreneurship experience, but can bring awareness to this specific area.
Now, Dr. Stacey, we were talking about identifying different types of depression, and was there anything from last week that we did not touch on that you wanted to touch on this week?
Before we go there, can I respond to what Calvin said? Because I think it's interesting that I think that you are dead on, brother, around that people, either the pandemic and the quarantine and the fears around that, and even significant losses for people in our community, either drove you away or drew you closer, if that makes sense. And either you were hyper motivated or not at all, right? And I will tell you that I'm in the category of, I'm also a professional speaker. And so I was grounded, but somehow the virtual thing started to pick up for me. But my podcast actually became my pandemic passion project. Mm-hmm. And so I was supposed to launch my podcast on August 7th. Okay.
Oh, of this year.
Right. Like I'd start planning in January. I had a little structure. We were building a different structure, like all of the things, right? Watching the videos, reading the books, etc. And so I was working, and because my podcast topic is around racism, race, social justice, anti-racism, all of those things. My niece said to me one Sunday morning, one Sunday afternoon at dinner, Auntie, you need to do that now. People need to hear from you right now. You need to push it up. It's not going to be perfect. You just need to do it. Mm-hmm. My first thought was, we should have never encouraged you to speak, right? That was my first thought. But then my second one was, I think she's right. And I'm so glad I did, because it really became a moment where preparation met opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what can happen for us, that in the middle of a crisis, like a rose can come up from the concrete. And certainly the pandemic was very stressful and extremely, just very disconcerting. Like, I was convinced the first 3 weeks that if I got it, I was going to die like this next day.
I'm trying to tell you.
I know that I'm certainly not alone in that, right? But I think that I'm in those moments, and I don't believe that the crisis is over. I still think we are going to have to go through this election in November, and any way that turns out, there probably will be stress. But that it's important to try to find kind of that get up and go, or maybe resiliency, or grit, or taking and licking and keep on ticking. I'm dating myself there. Pardon me. And not allow it to bind you completely. Yeah. So, and I will say, 7 episodes in of a podcast that wasn't supposed to be launched yet, over 750 downloads. Right.
All right.
Yeah. I could have waited. Like I still like I'm tripping now because I still was not supposed to be launched yet.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. God's timing. God's timing.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah.
So to the original question for Dr. Stacey.
Did you feel like we left anything out last week that we didn't get a chance to touch on?
That's what I would say. So I was thinking about this today, and some of the things I was aware of is that we did not talk about people who have things happen to them that impact their mental health for a lifetime. And I'm specifically talking about family experiences that can be detrimental to people, whether that be sexual abuse or physical abuse, or abandonment, or any other kind of traumatic event, watching somebody die, having a parent die young, just a myriad of things that can impact a person's mental health forever. And about sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, I'm here. That's a lie.
Oh, they
That's
do.
a lie.
That's a
Oh,
lie.
they do.
It's
They
a
hurt like
bald
a-
head lie.
That's no.
It is, and but people. I mean, I bet you each of one of us could think of something in our lives that someone said to us.
Where you wanted to punch them in the face. I know.
Well, it was terrible, and particularly as children.
It held you back for years. From yeah. Mm-hmm.
Remember, so I went to Catholic school in Philly growing up.
Really?
Yes, I did. And so, and I just, I have attention deficit disorder, and I'm just kind of clumsy, and I mean, still today at 53 years old. And I remember this nun saying to me, although you may be 80, we will never make a lady out of you.
Wait, say it again.
Although you may be 80, we will never make a lady out of you.
Sound like a lyric to a song.
Maybe she was a rapper and we didn't know. Sister
Right.
Mix a lot. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
But
Okay.
it's just those kinds of things that stick with you. Like, okay, so I'll never be a lady. Well, now I know that. I don't know that that's a whole goal necessarily, but that people say and do things to us, and I don't want that to get lost in our conversations around mental health, and especially as it relates to sexual abuse.
Because it's almost like what happens in this house stays in this house type of thing, and that's ridiculously unhealthy.
Or people ignore it, or they deal with it properly, and it still can have a really horrible detrimental effect.
Brother Calvin, I want to know your intake on personally for you.
I think that there needs to be a dynamic change.
Okay.
I've been thinking about it as you guys been talking, and like you had mentioned before, that you do sometimes want to punch people in the face for some things that they say that you don't like. As a child, I do feel like parents do need to start to learn and understand children more. And it's kind of weird because sometimes, you're having a day, you're tired, you go home, then you have another person nagging at you, I'm hungry, all this other stuff. But you have to realize that was you at one point. I feel like people need to be aware of other people's actions and emotions, because that's how situations happen. That's how problems occur. I think that people need to, and I feel like this dynamic shift will help people in the long run. You start becoming aware of more things. You start, you'll be easy to, get on people's good sides more, network more. There are a lot of good traits that can come from this, and it can also be an ease of the mind. Like, for example, you won't have that kid yelling at you or mad at you for a reason unbeknownst, and you won't be dealing with all the other stress at home that comes after dealing with the stress at work. So I do feel like there needs to be a dynamic shift, because we all have it hard, but it's up to us to guide the next generation, or it's up to us to guide those who we feel we can offer something to.
So we can agree that mental health can start as young as 4 or 5 years old.
Younger than that, brother. Younger than that. Yeah,
You
sure,
think
of
so?
course. Absolutely. I think if a child is not properly cared for as an infant, if the people that are around them are not consistent and they're not able to fully attach to a caregiver, they have attachment issues as grown-ups. So I think go ahead, Kevin.
I was going to say, but do you think that can change? Do you think that?
Absolutely.
And then
you know what? I'm gonna tell you. I believe anybody can change. And I couldn't be in this business if I didn't believe that. I believe that it is possible I think it's hard, Like, you know, my husband and I got married. We were 40, maybe he was 44, 45. Like, I wasn't changing that brother. That, you know, it was, what was in him was in him. What was in me was in me. He wasn't going to be able to change me. As he says, I was fully grown when we met. But I do believe that there's the power to change. I believe that the divine can step in and turn that thing on its head completely. And so I do believe that there is the power to change, but sometimes the root is still there, even if it's not being fully manifested.
I was just talking to a friend of mine before I came on this podcast, and I was telling her, because she asked me what we were talking about last week. She asked me, why don't I sleep, or how many hours in the day do I get to sleep? And realistically, I said about 3 hours. And she said, do you suffer from insomnia? I said, yeah, but I also have fear of death. What I mentioned last week. I say, I'm naturally a night owl. Like I can be up, but when I lay in my bed, or if I'm watching this screen for too long, I'm easily gonna drift. You know, that's just the natural body of the human, resting point. So I'm easily gonna drift as soon as I lay down, or if I'm looking at the screen too long. But when I'm in a mode of not wanting to sleep, I will do anything to keep myself up. If that's eating late at night, you know what I'm saying? If that's getting on the phone call 2 o'clock in the morning, finding somebody that's up, and that
It's usually me.
Right, right.
It's usually me.
Yeah, but that comes from not just insomnia, but me just as a child knowing that if I sleep, there could be a possibility that I don't wake up because I have sleep apnea. And we all know what that does. You know, you can easily stop breathing and probably not wake up. So it was a whole lot of things mentally that would prevent me from waking up. And I said, I threw this question. I said, do you think that as angels, if we started off as angels and before we was birthed into this earth, if God would have asked each one of us, he would have called us as if we are today, Dr. Stacey, do you want to go down and leave earth and become a human to fulfill out my purpose for my glory? Would you, knowing what you have to face now, before your doctorate, I'm talking about as a human being solely, would you have said yes?
You asking me?
It can be rhetorical. You can answer. Calvin, Fallon, would you, knowing all that I'm talking about as Black people, if you was brought in with time during slavery, okay. If you was brought in during the time of the bombings and segregation and all of that we even being born now in the era of Trump. Would you have been saying, God, would you have had Jesus on the cross when he said, let this cup pass from me? Or would you have went on and said, you know what, I get it, not my will, but yours be done? You know what I'm saying? Because I think I would have said, I'd rather stay up here with you, Lord. I gotta go through.
You don't want me to stay up here?
Yeah, right. I can sweep. I can cook something for you. Whatever you want me to do, Lord.
I give you eats. I give you sleeps.
I give you sleeps.
I'm good
whatever
Black
you want
folk.
me to do. Because you got to think about it. My father left me. I was with my mama, who was raising not just me, but 2 other girls. And I went through depression. I went through, all type of confused sexuality. And I went through the church, church hurt. I went through bullying in school. I got to go through, people not loving me, people being fake. Lord, I got to go through ups and downs and trials and tribulations. Lord, I got to go through sickness. Lord, I got to go through all type of stuff, and just to die and come back here with you.
When I'm already here.
I'd rather stay.
Right.
But we didn't have that choice.
I think I would have been the suspicious person that I am any doggone way. I probably would have been a little skeptical. I'd be like, are you sure? There? Like, I got to go? Okay, get my bags.
But if you think about the time that we live on the earth versus fit in a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you're saying.
That's true.
You. I'm not
I get it. But man, cause
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's difficult to analyze because you really don't know what era or what time period you appear in.
right.
Like, will you appear in ancient Egypt, or will you appear now, or will you appear 50 years in the future, or
That's
will you
true.
appear after the next World War? You really don't know.
Are you
That's
even
true.
gonna be in the same space? Like, are you gonna be in this country, another country? Are you
Yeah,
gonna be male, female? Lord,
you gonna be an animal, or who
I think I'd
knows?
be straight being an animal. I just had to take my chances.
That's true. I
I think
I was
I'll
I
take
was
my
I was
chances.
just thinking of me living my life of where I am now, where I have wanted to live this life solely as a human, or whether I would have wanted to stay up there as an angel, knowing what I've been through in this form. But
Mm.
what I changed, and this is a no, but what I changed life experiences with somebody else. Because
I
you don't
don't
know
think
what
I
somebody
would.
else went through. You don't know what somebody
I
else been through.
I don't think I would.
But when you're going through something mentally, those thoughts come into your mind. You're like, oh, you see somebody that got a 2-parent household, and you think that they got it all together because they didn't went to college. They didn't, you know what I'm saying? Oh, your life got to be good, but you don't know that if his father's beating the hell out of his mama, you
Uh-huh.
know what I'm saying? Or if they're going through some type of abuse at the house, you don't know what someone goes through. But when you're dealing with something as mental depression, your mind says, "Oh, they got a better life than you. Look at them; they got a father."
Now,
Uh-huh.
I don't know that I think you have to be depressed to
That's true. That's
as
true.
is greener on the other side. There's a saying that comparison is the thief of joy,
Mm.
and so you don't know. Oftentimes we compare with what looks like a shiny picture, and I don't know if I said this last time or not, and especially on social media, right?
Yes.
Cause you can
But
be
on
anything you want to be on social media.
social media gives you an edited version of people's lives.
True.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
True. But those people's lives, from what I see, let's say my page, I could see somebody that is happy in the first 5 hours of the day. And then somewhere down in that middle, all you see, they only write, ah, I'm depressed. And you're like, well, what happened to the first 5 hours of your what went wrong in the first five
But
hours
see,
of your day?
Like,
but see that
it
I
sounds
think
like
that
they woke
might
up
be.
happy.
Say it
It
again, Calvin.
sounds like they woke up happy. Then something happened. Someone pissed them off. They couldn't get the food they wanted.
Yeah,
I feel like certain things. A lot of people do over exaggerate, especially on
that's what
social
I
media.
was saying.
I
Yeah.
do feel like some people use social media as a guideline to how to live life, which shouldn't be the case. It's just a virtual world. Um, what are you guys' opinions on the standard social media places on people's lives?
Mm.
Wow. You can go, fella.
What's
I
your opinion?
I think, yeah. Let me hear your opinion first. Let me formulate mine. Let me mix it up a little bit up here for a second.
By the way, I covered this because I'm not giving McDonald's no type of endorsement.
Not until they get bigger fries.
That's
Okay.
right.
All right.
Well, what do you think, Calvin, about your
About
question?
standard social media places on people's lives, I think
Yes.
it's it it creates depression easily, without a
Mm-hmm.
doubt. I feel like people take it way too seriously, for one, and if you're not using it to form a business, promote a product, use it to bring awareness to a certain thing, then you shouldn't take it as serious as life or death. I know some people they do that.
Uh-huh.
If you lose your following, if you don't get likes on a photo, if you don't wear the most trendy outfit, if you aren't traveling like the influencers you see traveling, it's kind of detrimental to your health because you're sitting around like, I wish I could do that, or they must have money.
Yeah.
Necessarily, it's not always that true. They could be traveling with family and just taking photos of themselves,
Uh-huh.
or it's a paid trip for their job, or they budgeted it, or as a Groupon. You know,
Right.
so it's, you know, people have high expectations of others and want to set themselves to those standards, but don't really know how to effectively work towards it. So they just sit back and just let life pass by, you know, saying that that's what I need to be doing, but I can't do it because you know, I'm not there yet. Or, you know, you don't have to just be there to do whatever you want. People, and I know people that go on vacations just to take photos. You know, you shouldn't be, you have to enjoy life while you're here. It's not all popularity contests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
See, for me, I don't take social media seriously at all.
You're not on
I
that now.
literally, first off, I'm on there all the time. That's how you know I don't share stuff like that. First and foremost, I'm on there all the doggone time, watching videos, liking pictures every now and again. I've recently, this year, I've become a little more vocal on controversial
Yes, you
topics.
have. Mm-hmm.
I have been really like trying to read people for filth.
Oh
Okay?
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Like I have been really getting in people face about certain things, but I still even and the only reason I even have social media was to reconnect with people from school. So literally everyone in my friends list is either someone I went to school with, someone I worked with, or a family member. And maybe an ex sprinkled in here or there. But other than that, I just don't take it that serious, and I don't necessarily want my life to be on display. So when it comes to me sharing certain things, like I've been out of town and didn't nobody know except the people that I told.
We lost
And
Calvin. Hopefully he'll be back. There we go.
okay.
Keep going.
I didn't have I didn't take any pictures, or if I did, I didn't post them rather. Or someone else posted a picture. I just so happen to be in the background eating a chicken wing or something. Like I don't care enough. If I'm going somewhere, I need to enjoy my time while I'm away before I have to get back to my hectic life.
See, I'm different. I care. You better like my pictures. You better say
He
something
really
to me.
does.
You better say something to me. No, but I'm like Calvin said. I'm business. Everything that I post on
It's
Facebook
business related.
is business related. Whether I'm doing comedy, that's still business related because I'm a comedian. So I do that to kind of balance out the foolishness that we see on social media. There are people that I see that are hurting, and I try to, and I don't usually write on people's timelines or under their posts. I go to them privately. Like one of my friends from high school was talking about depression, and I sent her one of my videos, and I say, watch this because this may help you.
Mm.
People, because I don't believe in doing anything publicly. You know, regardless if you put it out there or not publicly, that's not my business. I'm going to come to you privately, and I'm going to, because it's just like giving somebody a hug outside of a crowd. It's easy to go when people are watching and say, come here, baby, because you want people to see that you're sincere and that you're loving and that you know what I'm saying? But when you go to them off on the side and say, I heard you, I see you, and I'm with you, that's a whole nother different feeling because it's private. And that person know that you ain't doing it for show. You ain't doing it just to get no type of recognition, you know, and so for me, social media, I see a lot of stupidity, but it derives from attention. And it
Yeah.
makes me think these people, if they have depression, it's conditional. If they have anything mental, it's conditional. It depends on what you're dealing with in that moment. You are a person that lives in the moment and you die in the moment. And that is detrimental to you living versus existing. And I truly believe that if you are a person that can live in the moment and die in the moment, then you don't really appreciate the moment that you're living. You can't even understand the moment that you're in to feel it. You know, does that make sense?
It makes sense. Let me ask a question.
Can I chime in on the? Go ahead, Fallon.
Real quick, because you could probably help me. Is there a form of mental illness associated with attention seeking.
Sure, of course. Absolutely.
And what is that called?
So there are a couple different things that I would think about that fit into the category of personality disorders. And so this is someone who is struggling. So mood disorders are depression, anxiety, bipolar. Those are all mood disorders. But personality is the kind of things that are oftentimes hardwired because of a trauma or just kind of the way that you come to the world, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think that you probably heard of narcissism
Yes.
disorder.
Yes.
I would also be thinking about histrionic, people who overly exaggerate, kind of what Brother Calvin was talking about earlier. So that's another one. Another one that is not oftentimes talked about in the popular discourse, but borderline personality disorder. And so borderline is when it's people who, what I oftentimes say is, okay, I'm not in the camera, but go away, come closer. So people who don't want you to be close to them, but they
don't want you too far away either.
Right, and so if you do the slight thing that doesn't mirror their reaction or mirror their thought pattern, then they become kind of histrionic and may do things to harm themselves or attention-seeking disorders. Yeah, and so I think those are some of the ways that people. Now, I also think that it is natural for us to want the attention of other people.
Oh, definitely, yes.
That's a normal kind of thing. I think where it becomes detrimental is if you are fed by that completely. And that is the sole way that you are taking in your value.
Only babies do that. Please see me, hear me.
Right.
Please see
but
me.
But there's some grown people that do that too.
I know some of them.
Yeah, there's some grown people that do that too.
Yeah.
And it's kind of so the fancy psychological term is intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic. And so intrinsic is I do what I do for me. I hope you enjoy it, but I do what I do for me. Versus extrinsic is external, that I get my validation and my motivation for people that are external of me. And too much of either one thing can be problematic. And so really,
I'm a balance.
Healthy balance.
I'm definitely a balance. Yeah.
I don't care if they enjoy it. If it makes me happy, I'm doing it. So.
But I think that we all test it.
He said me too.
For me, there are many different perks. I like to post, but I do feel a little sad when I post something that I really like and I don't get as many likes or comments that I want.
Okay.
You know?
See,
everybody get off and go
like
Calvin stuff right now.
But I know it's
yes, sir.
To what they like. I was just told earlier, I talk about this with friends all the time. I said, I'm trying to release something, trying to bring awareness, and they're saying that you have to post stuff that other people would like to see. And I know that's true. Instead of me posting what I post, it has to be something that not necessarily that I want to get out there, but what everybody wants me to post.
That would make me not want to post at all, honestly.
But let's be real. All of us are podcasters, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So at some level, we're creating content for other people's, I don't know what the right word is. Pleasure feels a little smarmy, but enjoyment, edification, I don't know.
Yes,
but,
yes.
And so again, it's found in that place of balance. And so you're trying to move with integrity and create the best content that's going to work for you. And like, I'm not going to put myself in booty shorts to please my listeners. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's just bad and wrong on so many levels for a lot of different reasons. But I'm not going to do that.
Cousin, fix your face.
I was thinking about me. Never mind.
In booty shorts?
I mean, there's some women that like that. They like that.
That's okay. Come on, let's come back. Let's come back. Thank you.
Okay. I was scared, y'all. Whew.
I don't even know what my next point was. I'm done.
I have a question about my hands all in the camera. I have a question about bipolar disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because, okay, quick backstory. My mother, when she
Told me
was
this
working,
last time. Yes.
no, it's something different. It's something different this time.
Always your mother.
I don't have a lot of friends. Okay, so my mother used to screen people. I feel like I'm gonna say it wrong, but she used to screen people before they were Baker acted.
Sure. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Before they were what?
Right.
Before they're Baker acted.
So he doesn't. It's a Florida thing. That's a Florida thing. So tell him what that is.
Really? It is? Okay.
It's a Florida thing. Mm-hmm.
I don't really know because I
It
didn't do it.
is.
But basically what they do is, what she would do is she would get like some background information on the particular patient, kind of see where they are personality wise before they're sent off to the hospital to have an evaluation, a mental evaluation.
So
Okay.
it's the equivalent of involuntary hospitalization.
Yes. So she had a lot of books around the house that were about mental illness and how to identify it, and this is this and that is that, or whatever the case may be. So one day when she was angry at me, she was like, "You're so bipolar. You get on my nerves." And I'm just like, because I got angry, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm bipolar. Now, I say all that to say this. Bipolar disorder in itself, especially like through TV shows and whatnot. For example, I made my way through Empire last week, and one of the brothers was bipolar, and he would, when he wasn't on his medication, he would become very erratic, all over the place, just here and there and everywhere. Okay, and then I started watching Queen Sugar, and one of the supporting characters, who was actually played by Maxine from Living Single, she was also bipolar, and she was kind of like very disoriented, very erratic, very all over the place. Now, my question is it always that extreme with bipolar disorder? Or is there like somewhere in between where they're like a smidge bipolar or something?
So, pardon me, sorry. That, you can't be almost bipolar. You are or you aren't. You like to be almost pregnant. And so bipolar is the extreme swings of highs and lows. And so the lows being the kind of depression that make it impossible to function. And the highs being that you're on top of the world, you can do anything, the world is your oyster, and some of this kind of erratic, high-risk behavior. The example of bipolar disorder right now in our culture.
The doggone president.
No.
Because he crazy.
That's narcissism.
Kanye.
That's it. Absolutely.
Kanye, yeah.
Absolutely. He's a wonderful example of bipolar disorder. And so when he's good, when he's taking his meds, he's doing his thing. Kanye,
he makes sense.
He's brilliant. And you can always tell when he is off his medication. And the sad part about bipolar disorder is this. A symptom of bipolar disorder is non-compliance with medication.
They don't want to take it.
They don't want to take it. And so it almost feeds off itself at some level. And so then every year, 6 to 8 months or so, Kanye has an episode, right?
I want to argue with that, being that Kanye is my favorite artist and I grew up listening to his music.
Oh, I love me some Kanye. Back in the day?
Huge, still to this day, except for the last album.
Love me some Kanye.
Huge fan of Kanye, especially his story and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, he was a narcissist and he may have had underlying issues and stuff, but I think he was doing good when he was having his Sunday service everywhere and every Sunday.
Very much so.
California, and then Corona hit, and then you probably couldn't have it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You're just cooped up in the house with the Kardashians, and I think that just got to.
Oh, poor thing.
But any way you slice it, Kanye was bipolar when he had the episode of. I'm not saying he's narcissist. I don't want to pathologize the brother. I'm saying
now, do you think that bipolar disorder can be obtained? Do you think, for example, people always argue that Kanye was fine before his mother had passed. Do you think that something or a life event can trigger bipolar disorder within a person?
Not necessarily. And I think personally, and this is purely conjecture, purely conjecture. But I'll say it more generally. Oftentimes, when someone has somebody loving and consistent in their lives, that person is able to help them maintain their health. And if that person gets taken away, then there's not that kind of consistent, trusting person in their lives, then it is harder to do that. You understand what I'm saying? It's hard to do it the way you slice it. Great book about bipolar disorder. Author is, and it's a novel, by B.B. Moore Campbell called 72-Hour Hold. It is a whole kind of example of bipolar disorder and its impact on the family.
And they put you on if you attempt suicide, they put you on a 72-hour hold.
Right.
That makes sense.
Or if you're having a manic episode, you're or those kind of things. Anything that makes you a threat to yourself and to others.
They put you
Does that make sense, Calvin?
Hold.
That makes perfect sense.
and let's be clear, he's brilliant.
Oh, brilliant.
He's ridiculously
and
smart.
I'm not even a hip hop fan, but he's brilliant.
The way he takes gospel samples and just like samples from like the 40s and 50s and just flips some of that's just like
that Sunday service choir album has been on heavy rotation in my office, my home office. Like you would not believe. He's brilliant. He just is.
Yeah, you can't deny his musical genius.
But oftentimes people with that level of genius struggle with mental health. Not all the time. I'm not saying all the time. But sometimes that's the case.
Question, and this is going to go far back. An amazing actor, improv genius, who died from depression, Robin Williams. What do you think? Right. What do you think? Because that was something that wasn't shown or seen. That was like that creeped up on us to know that.
Yeah, that came out of left field.
Depression. Can you explain that? Like someone that you would see that is so vibrant that they live their life to make people happy and smile, and to know that they are hurting when they get behind closed doors.
Was he depressed or was he bipolar?
It was depression.
Yeah, I think he was
depression. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't. That's his job. So comedy was his job. And in the same way that we all struggle and we get up and go to work every day, the same is true for him. And so it's shocking when that happens, but it's important to put it in context that the entertainment piece was his work.
Okay. Now, when people say, like I can say, I can go through a feeling, and I can know the levels of my sadness. I can just say, "Oh, I'm sad. I'm not really feeling too well. I'm not really feeling like being productive today." And then there is, I think I'm depressed. There's those levels. I'm sad because something happened. I lost my grandmother. That makes me sad.
But that's grief. That's not depression. Right. That's grief. So that's different.
I think I'm going like down the line. Like, do you think there's a timeline? Not a timeline, but just like a line that gets you to over the years to depression?
So I think that in order for us to be able to diagnose depression, we have to have the symptoms consistently for 2 weeks at least. And then the other piece of it is that there's no other explanation for it. So you haven't had a significant life event, or you haven't had a trauma or a loss. So that's a major depressive episode. And then we get into what they call dysthymia. And dysthymia is that you have that depressive episode, but you've had it for over 2 years.
Oh.
Yeah, and so that's a different kind of situation. And then there is a kind of depression that cycles, that's bad and then it's good, or even affective disorder. And so I don't know where you are, Calvin, but where are you? Where do you live?
New Jersey. New
Jersey. And so in the wintertime, you know how gray it can get. And so people can struggle with seasonal affective disorder as well. And so that's another kind of depression that it's not necessarily a major depressive episode. Or then there's an adjustment disorder that has depressive features. And so you're adjusting to something, a new job, a new place you live, the death of a spouse, a marriage, and that you have depression symptoms as a result of that.
Okay.
Calvin, how do you feel about therapy?
How I feel about therapy?
As a Black man, like mental therapy.
Well, I know it's not looked upon as, something that we do in the Black community.
Especially a man.
And I'm just speaking on from like conversations with family members and stuff. I'm not speaking on the whole community as a whole.
Right.
But I do know a lot of people that have gone to therapy and benefited from therapy. Me personally, I haven't done it before. Could I see myself doing it? Maybe one day, I felt like if we were in quarantine for a year, I would need it.
Lord Jesus, I need to see somebody, God.
Well, but you know what? We might be.
I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, we things are opening back up. It is not as bad as it was, March, April, May. But I felt like
that's because you guys aren't in Florida.
You don't live in Florida.
Well, no. I mean, how it is in Florida now was how it was in New Jersey and New York a couple months ago.
Okay.
Back when it was at its peak and we just had thousands and thousands of cases. Like, people are still even scared to go out now, and it's still like that. But I do feel like therapy is worthwhile, and people do need to talk about things with other people. They may not have that comfort talking to a stranger right off the bat, but that's something that you build, especially if they prove to be a good therapist, or they end up being a good person or someone you could trust, for a long time. Because I've seen, and I thought maybe because my family dynamic is a little different, I thought that a lot of people may have had, maybe one or two confidants in their family, or just a good base to talk to, whether or not it's not family or friends, or or they long to actually build that around themselves. But some people just don't have that, and they need someone to talk to. And me personally, I like I said, I haven't done it before, but I know it works. I know it's useful for everybody.
Now, as far as therapy and the Black family dynamic, and because I had a situation where I was feeling a certain kind of way, and I told one of my aunts about it. I don't know what the hell I told her for, because she told every doggone body. But I told her about how I was feeling, and her, La Bougie, and her immediate response to me was, "Girl, you just need to pray. You'll be all right. Come on, bring it in." And she gave me a hug, and she went and made her beans. Like, it was crazy. So
that was the blackest thing ever.
It really was. Like, I was in a Medea movie.
Right.
Okay? I was like, that doesn't help. That didn't help at all.
It doesn't help. But I mean, that's what some people just do and say. They have to brush over the hard thing. Maybe it's a hard conversation to have.
When you think about that generation didn't have no conversations. They hugged
They
it
didn't
out.
talk about stuff.
They went to church and slept on it.
Mm-hmm.
Or ate on it.
Or ate on, right. They had
Or
a big,
ate on it.
or wait a minute, or memed over it.
right.
It's mean and hateful.
Right. And
Or
so that's
drank
why,
or drank over
or
it.
drink over it, or
Or
drug.
Jesus, or women, or Jesus over it.
Mm-hmm.
For real.
I hate that.
I will say,
I don't know why, but I hate it.
I said to y'all last time, and I will say it again. I love me some Jesus. And you can have Jesus and go to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
That the two things are mutually exclusive. And it's nothing but a tool.
Yeah.
In the same way that these glasses that we have on it's a tool. Or
I lost mine.
sorry.
You broke the mold, Fallon.
I'm sorry.
Or when you go to the podiatrist, I have plantar fasciitis.
It's like how some people just don't.
That's
like
a lot of letters.
Right, Calvin.
Like what, Calvin? What you say?
I'm saying it's like how some people just don't like going to the doctor.
Yeah.
They don't like to accept the fact that they need help.
That something's wrong.
And we will more likely go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
Or to
right here.
our
Yep.
to our primary care doctor, even if we have insurance. But that's not like the emergency room can't be your primary care doctor.
I'm not gonna do that no more because I got insurance now. I ain't on that Let Mama Kiss It insurance no more, and I'm gonna go to the doctor. Okay.
Please go to. In fact, just make an appointment and go tomorrow.
I'm gonna go. Hey, doc.
So, Miss Dr. Stacy, did you get to watch the movie?
Which one?
No, Inside Out.
No, I did not. And here's the sad part. I don't even remember what the movie was.
So, Calvin, have you ever watched the Pixar movie Inside Out?
I haven't.
You haven't? Okay.
No, I haven't.
Lord, why you ain't watching it?
This is what we're going to do.
Why am I watching it?
Why you not watching it? Go watch
Things to do list. I'm putting it on my things to do list now. Okay.
We're gonna take a quick break. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to talk about what that movie have to do, how it integrates with depression. Okay? We'll be back.
Okay.
And we are back. Brother Calvin had to head out, but he'll be back with us soon.
Hello.
And we still have Dr. Stacey. Dr. Stacey, listen. So, Inside Out, the movie. This is why, and I'm telling the movie, but you still have to watch it to really, really get how amazing it is. Okay.
If all else fails, it's a really nice movie to even just look at. The animation is done.
If you have
because it's Pixar, yeah.
If you have grandkids, they'll be like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
That's how they're gonna be. That's how I was. That's how I was at 2:00 in the morning. But,
30 years old.
31.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So the movie is called Inside Out, and it deals with this little girl named Riley. She was born, and it showed her mental state already developed. Sadness. So these are the emotions that we have. We have sadness, we have joy, we have anger, we have disgust, and we have fear.
Okay.
Right? Those were the 5. Family Guy, I realized that Family Guy did a spoof of Inside Out. And instead of fear, he had diarrhea or something. And that was hilarious.
Jesus.
Hilarious. But so joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear. She has what they call the islands of personality. Goofball Island, Family Island, Hockey Island, Friendship Island, and the Island of Honesty.
Uh-huh.
Right? And then she had a machine of memory balls.
Like that moved her memories from where they were into the subconscious and stuff like that.
Right. Long term, short term.
Okay. Wow.
Balls that would go into the sea of forgetfulness that she never wanted to remember ever again. And they would desecrate into thin air.
And based on what color they were is what emotion coincided with that particular memory. So if it was yellow, it was joy. If it was purple, it was fear.
Right.
Green, disgust, red, anger, and blue for sadness.
Right.
Wow.
So Joy, we realized, was the core leader. She was first. When babies are born, it's Joy. It's Joy, right? So, but
Stacey's face.
oh, this is going to be real animated. So so Joy was first. Then after Joy, you realize that the baby started crying.
That's when sadness popped.
Sadness came, and sadness is just depression in itself. Like she was just like, "Hi,
very Eeyore.
I'm sorry, I'm sadness. Nice to meet you." Like it was, you could tell what her position was. Joy is effective, but once sadness creeped in, it altered the memory. So Joy could have a memory ball in her hand for when the baby was joyful, but if sadness touched the ball, it changed her memory to a sad moment in her life. So that memory never. If she touched the ball, it no longer brought her joy. The memory brought her sadness. So joy and sadness had left the little girl's mind. Something happened tragically where they were kicked out of her mental.
Oh, I remember. Sadness kept trying to touch the core memories.
Right. And then they kind of like sucked up a tube.
They ended up going into subconscious.
Right. And so all that she had left was anger, fear, and disgust to control her mental. What I realized was you never want to be left with anger, fear, and disgust because they don't work well together.
Disgust, or they work synergistically.
Right.
Mess.
Disgust,
and just make it worse.
Disgust don't care. Fear is too fearful to want to be strong and take charge. So they leave who in charge?
Anger. Who is too doggone possessive and don't care about nobody else's feelings.
So without joy and sadness to balance them out, anger takes over. The first personality that she lost was Goofball Island. She lost her sense of goofiness.
Sure.
And you saw that when she got in trouble with her dad, and her dad reprimanded her, and her dad came to her side, wanting to make coochie, like, and she looked at him like, what? And they realized that, and they showed you specifically that Goofball Island started crumbling down.
And just fell apart.
That sounds, I'm going to watch it. Don't tell me.
Yes. You going to watch it? You're gonna watch it? And when you watch
Definitely should watch it.
Yeah, come back. Thank you. Welcome back, Calvin. When you watch it,
Calvin, hey.
Then we're gonna revisit all of this again. And I want you to watch it too, Calvin. When you go back, I kind of stopped at the first island that she lost. So Inside Out is the movie. It's a Pixar. If you have children, you too young for grandchildren. Well, who knows? Yeah. We don't know. It's 2020. So but that is a great movie to watch because it really shows you, even as children, that they go through probably more emotions than we ever would as an adult.
Sure,
because they have no guidance. And it's hard to kind of balance that. So I thank you, Brother Calvin. You're welcome to come on anytime, because there was a lot of people that said they wanted to come on, but who knows what their schedule is. So you're welcome to come on anytime. And Dr. Stacey, we will have you again next week. We'll figure out what day next week will fit.
We decided we should do our next show on children and find someone that works with children.
I like that. Because
Dr. Stacey said she don't know nothing about
no babies. So that's good. So we'll look for that, and that's good. That may work out. We'll look for that, and we'll go deeper. That'll be right with what the movie is. That'll work perfectly. So that'll be good. So Calvin, brother, thank you. I think you added a lot to from a male perspective, because sometimes I get lost just being me. So all this estrogen.
Yeah, he's very territorial.
All this estrogen. I need some testosterone. So thank you, brother, man, and you're welcome back anytime on Inclusive Talk. Dr. Stacey, we're going to have you until the wheels fall off. And cousin, I love you, and thank you for, again, helping me see the benefit of doing something like this for our community and for our culture. And so if you're watching via YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like us, and share us and follow us. If you're watching us on Zoom, we'll be back every single week for the rest of this month and August. If you're watching us on Facebook, Inclusive Talk Podcast, the page, like it, share it, subscribe, comment,
please.
Give us questions.
We love the feedback.
All that. If you're watching us on OnlyFans, you shouldn't, because we're not on OnlyFans. But we hope that you have a wonderful Sunday and a wonderful weekend. And this is Inclusive Talk. Cousin, what you guys say to the people?
Be inclusive.
Yo. And we out.
Yo.
All right, take care.
You too.
Thank you.